We're heading into our second feature match from round one. Still sticking with the opening round of play, which of course a lot of players did bypass by winning their Summoner Skirmish locally, getting a round one bye here for Bologna qualifier. But that does not mean that there aren't players that have traveled that are very skillful from elsewhere in the world that weren't playing Summoner Skirmishes. Maybe they picked up the game recently, are here for round one. I've seen a lot of strong players already out today. We have a Garen matchup. And that is not something I was expecting to see so much of today, other than contesting for best of cards. It looks like it's based around Aurora. So I wonder what we're going to end up seeing. I've been playing Aurora Sivir, which is a very different deck compared to this one, but interested to see how this Garen is going to perform. It is one of the champions that fewer players are playing because it does have a little bit of a perceived weak standpoint in the meta. I think is the nicest way I can put that.
I mean, the Garen ability is not necessarily the one that you have trigger the most, right? So getting to draw those two cards, that sounds nice, but you actually would have to have a lot of units for it. But I really liked one card in the deck list, and that was the Commander Ledros. I played that in Origins in Victor for quite some time, because if you just killed your own recruit tokens and you have some seals of unity backing it up, it's actually quite cheap to play. You play it for 6 energy, almost for free, then have 8 might, and you're deflecting and ganking. If you play this card from the good old Dazzling Aurora, good times.
Yeah, good times. We'll see what perhaps we're up against. So we had a Garen. I think it was a bit of a lie, because we're actually going into a Teemo Leona matchup, which is, again, 2 more champions that are based in the bracket that I guess we're looking towards as best of contenders. Leona's play style based a lot around creating big units that then stun your opponent, removing them from combat. I've heard people talking that sometimes this can be a tricky matchup for like a combat focus deck like a Draven that wants to win. If a Leona can get presence on the board, you stun units, they can't really compete for the rest of that turn. Whereas Teemo is a deck that had a lot of success, I would say, at the beginning of Origins. Like the prevalence of hidden cards, being able to control battlefields, leave your opponent asking questions, left it quite a tricky deck to play against, but certainly didn't receive many tools so much for Spirit Forge compared to other champions.
That's a good point, but I think just having Chaos Runes in your deck makes you inherently stronger. Also,
that's so true.
Teemo just offers you the luxury of deck building. You can just play very few 2-drops because you have the Teemo Chosen Champion unit. You can just play it on your turn 2 and later on bounce it back to hand with the Swift Scout.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that makes it slightly less well placed for this current meta is Origins was a lot about contesting battlefields quickly with small units. Now in Spirit Forge, Draven forces you to pick and choose your holds a lot more. So a deck like Teemo that plays 1 might and 2 might units, Draven just runs over, draws a bunch of cards and says, I don't care about your hidden units and hidden cards.
Oh, that is a Sonya's Hourglass plate. So we are already preparing for this mind rune removals, those singularities that might come up at some point. But now that is a Teemo deck. The deck does bounce a little bit, so sometimes those could be a little tougher. We're going to the Monastery with the Treasure Hunter, and that's already great, right? When you move, you get the Gold Gear token. When your opponent doesn't have an early drop to contest that, Treasure Hunter gets infinite times better. And
I've put one of the best cards, perhaps, from Spirit Forge that we're going to see for the first time today. I've already seen it in hand, I think. Okay, not coming out now, but very well could have been. Ezreal Prodigy, discard 1, draw 2, massive draw spell that a lot of decks are running. I say spell, it's a unit. It does other things as well. Allows you to reduce the cost for additional optional costs. That is the very important part of that. So, you, for instance, allows you to repeat Cold Shot, basically just recycling that first rune. I wouldn't be surprised to see some Cold Shots used in this Teemo deck.
I think Ezreal and Cold Shot, they go hand in hand.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So especially
absolutely.
Also with the Treasure Hunter, if you're having that Gold Gear token
it's free.
next turn, it's free.
It's free. It's actually free at that point.
Draw 2 cards by looking at the top 4 for free. That's
so broken.
Crazy.
When I saw that card, I was like, there's no way this isn't broken.
That is one of my favorite side deck cards from set 1, actually. The Leona, that really, really is good against those combat-focused decks. When you're moving into a battlefield, it just stuns something. That's how you win combats rather easily, but the unit is a little clunky, I want to say. If you play it out, you might get some tempo if you actually get into a combat and take out units for free, but if you get rebuked, you're skipping a few turns.
Interesting. So the first time we're really seeing Teemo in Spirit Forge in a feature match, obviously we're in round 1 at Bologna, so there's not really too much opportunity for us to see it too much in Europe, at least. That is a Thousand Tails Watcher in hand. So this is a Teemo deck that, yes, it was played in the Teemo decks back in Origins, but it still very much is along that line of, like, you still have the big blue units. You've now paired them with the Chaos units that are coming through and the Chaos spells, so I'm interested to see where else this deck goes. I see an Ember Monk in hand. I'll bring that up on stream because I don't think some players perhaps are familiar, unless you have local players that are running a lot of Teemo. Ember Monk is a card that trips up a lot of people because it can surprise you to get a lot of extra might throughout the game.
It's crazy. We saw a Sprite Mother discard. The Mommy is getting discarded. This card is really strong as well. Just spawns you a Sprite token that is ready immediately. Has been dropped from a lot of lists, but also a reason why you're playing this card. And of course the Sprite's Call and maybe a Thousand-Tailed Watcher in the Teemo deck. Teemo is not the greatest at conquering. I mean, this is not what it looks like right now. It looks like it's the best deck at conquering ever, getting to 3 points already, but it really struggles sometimes. Actually, I think Ember Monk versus Leona, that's a tough time.
We'll see where Leona goes. I love the rune choice on Leona's side. the fully foiled out runes do look beautiful on the feature match. So, interested to see where Leona goes from here. It is a deck that I know there's a lot of love out there for Leona as a deck. Unfortunately, hasn't seen quite the results that people were hoping for. Not necessarily perceived as one of the must-play decks, and a little awkward of a matchup at times. It does have problems with, like, recycling quite a lot later for bigger units. That is always one of the trade-offs that you have against these decks that do play large units, is you kind of end up going down a hole of, like, de-ramping yourself a lot.
Yeah. I mean, in those big power turns, but that's something we've seen in Spirit Forged a lot so far, where players just end up on 2 runes in their last turn, just going all out, because all of those powerful power cost cards, with this power cost manipulation that we have in gold and in those seals, they're just sometimes stronger than the cards you don't pay power cost for. Something like a Zonia's, but Zonia's Hourglass, it's also a phenomenal card. It's almost like a Guardian Angel, but it's easier for your opponent to play around. Like, you can't really decide which unit you will protect with the Guardian, with the Zonia's Hourglass, whereas with a Guardian Angel, that's a completely different story.
Yeah, looking at what I think is the Leona list, I think I've seen a few different things in hand. Like, there's a Fiora Victorious in hand. There's quite a few units in this deck that don't see play in other decks, so I'm interested to see what drops from Leona. I think also another card that I think is quite key, already thematically appropriate for Leona with the stunning, Thwonk is a combat trick that has come up from Spirit Forge. I think is again another thing that people have to play around, where it's just going to basically stun.
one of the best pre-rift cards ever.
Oh, it's good. That and Punch First. If you got to play both of those, you're just able to control so much.
Yeah, this card just stuns up to 2 units if you want to pay the repeat cost. If you have an Azrael Prodigy, then you actually get to only pay 3 energy to repeat it. So again, are we going to see Azrael Prodigy soon? Not only does Azrael make it easier for you to repeat your cards, because you can decide to not pay optional costs, but you don't even have to pay optional costs. Look at those 3 gold tokens.
Got the gold.
But also discarding and drawing 2 cards is crazy. Sprite Call discarded, get 2 cards, immediate value. Azrael might be one of the best cards in Spirit Forged.
There is a Rasa drawn to hand as well. Gold, this feels great if you're playing Chaos. It feels terrible when you're across the table from it. I'll tap a gold or a seal, and then I'll look at 2, take 1. Oh, guess what? I'll do it again. For free. Doesn't matter.
That is so much value, and it even keeps up the tempo.
Yeah.
How many times do you get to draw 2 cards for absolutely free? Because those gold gear tokens, yes, you use them up, but that's what they're there for, right? They provide no other value, except for when you're playing on. But I think that Maddie can tell you more about that.
So, Interesting. Choices. 2 big endgame units or the do I want to just see 4 more cards ability. And it is going to be one of the units. I saw Cold Shot going back into the deck. I guess we'll take a look here. I didn't quite catch which one. It's the Watcher. Okay. And, you know, matchup specific, I think that's good because you're going to end up playing against Leona having big units. Watcher can really, you know, put pressure on the battlefield with that -3 effect that I think everybody knows from Origins. Those of you that are playing, hits the battlefield, you kind of sigh, and if you can't alter it, you scoop.
I just think you need to pressure with the Thousand-Tailed Watcher rather early, because those big units versus the Leona deck, they're not the greatest, right? So if you stun a Watcher, you feel great about yourself, right? That's the best thing that could happen to you. A 7-might unit and you just stun it for free, that's so much tempo.
1 card in hand we saw there for Leona. Another signature spell coming through that I'm going to bring up on broadcast for us. Zenith Blade. We're going to have potentially instances of Surprise Defender in this in this matchup, which is a tricky mechanic that people I think are still getting used to. But we'll see how that Zenith Blade ends up coming through. As you can see, it's going to be stunning an enemy unit at the battlefield. You move friendly unit to that battlefield.
Zenith Blade is crazy strong. I've been caught off guard at skirmishes a couple of times by this card before. But also pushing back the Leona is quite nice. You have the Fiora Victorious still defending your zone's warrants. Leona is making herself ready for a possible attack on the monastery. And I want to say that's gonna be iffy. So I think that the first time we're going to see a big attempt to conquer, that's what I'm talking about, the early pressure with this Thousand-Tailed Watcher. There's still 4 runes open.
And Ezreal is gonna help out here because Accelerate is an optional additional cost. So you don't have to recycle the 2nd blue rune. And of course the first one coming from the gold. So Watcher comes out and you know you can follow it up in a following turn and you still have more available.
So TRAGLLK is really going strong with planning forward these turns, knowing I have a Watcher, I'm just going to take another one because I'm not going to deramp myself, I'm not going to recycle any runes with the first one.
Oh, is the Ezreal pushing if it goes in too? Interesting. Wow. A lot of players will leave Ezreal in base
forever
because of how important the cost reduction is. But this is kind of playing in and saying, I know Leona is going to be playing lots, and we know Thwonk is in hand. There's a Janna coming through, so Janna won't be able to deal too much to the minus that Thousand-Tailed Watcher is going to get. But as you know, Janna players in League of Legends know, you pushing things back, you getting things out of here. It's basically like fight or flight attached to a unit, and it's the Watcher that goes back, and now Ezreal is vulnerable on the battlefield.
Actually, now that you're saying it, do you even commit a fight or flight here on the side of TRAGLLK? Of course, if you're pushing back that Janna, you're kind of good. I think it has deflect, so you might have to pay some cost there. But then you might conquer.
And deflect is not an optional cost. Just to make that very clear, there has been some confusion around Ezreal. It is a mandatory cost. Ezreal does nothing to the cost of deflect on enemy units.
You're taking out the Fiora Victorious, but then in the next turn, I think there's a pretty good chance that your Ezreal is still going to die. But I mean, you took that risk when you pushed it in there together with the Thousand-Tailed Watcher. And we're going to discard another Ember Monk. We are good on units there, so pretty nice discard, drawing another card. Only thing that's a bit odd now is you're completely tapped out. Do you even want to hide anything? I don't think so, right?
Yeah, one thing perhaps for new players maybe that didn't follow the full game state, the Fiora of course was affected by the Thousand-Tailed Watcher's entry ability that gives it -3, so it actually was 1 might at the time where Ezreal is the remaining attacker against it. That's why Ezreal survived and Janna gets pushed back.
So we're actually gonna hide another card. That is,
This is the annoying part about playing against Teemo. You're like, I have no idea what card that is. There's like 6. It could be.
It could just be a Teemo.
It could be.
It could just be a Teemo. The thing is, the Leona is so strong against that battlefield, and any single card that could be hidden there, if you push in the Leona, stun the Ezreal, what could it be? Okay, it could be.
This is a card that I love from Spirit Forge Switcheroo. I don't know whether there's one in the list. I will go and check. But if it were a Switcheroo, this blows out combat extremely effectively. You basically just swap mites with your opponent, and you say, okay, well, I'm just going to leave something small here, and then suddenly it'll be able to trade with something that's huge.
Yes. However, if your Ezreal has been stunned by the Leona before, which you know of, then just investing that switcheroo might not be the best choice.
You know, that's actually really important about this matchup specifically. Again, this is how like the different champion matchups play into different things. Like normally switcheroo, you're like, yeah, what a good card, it's so great. And then you get stunned, or with thwonk, anything like that. And you're like, well, suddenly it doesn't matter anymore.
The thing is, if you switcheroo there and you only know the Jenna of your opponent and the Leona, you switcheroo the Leona, nothing. If the Jenna isn't pushed into the battlefield with the Leona, nothing can conquer your field. Your Ezreal is going to hold then, because it's just so powerful with its 5 might then. Actually, no, 4 might, right? The Leona has Defender, so it only goes up to 5 might when it is already at the battlefield and your opponent is attacking. But you're at 4 then. Still, the Jenna can't really beat it, no?
There's a lot else that it could be as well. You know, as you said, it could be Teemo.
Wages.
So it could be wages. It could even just be a Consult the Past. There's things like Tide Turner that people play in this matchup, or at least in previous versions of the deck. So
Tide Turner on Ember Monk is...
Yeah, exactly, because you reveal, get the +2.
Oh.
So we might see the reveal come through just to get the Ember Monk stronger, but is it enough?
Ember Monk is stunned, but however, keep in mind, even if cards are revealed here, the Ember Monk is gonna get so huge that it might still hold. So yes, your units won't get killed when the Ember Monk is at 20 might, but you're also not going to conquer. Your units are gonna get pushed back. Your opponent is holding already at 6.
So holding potentially to win the game. As you said, that is one important thing, is if you're strong enough. There's the Teemo coming through, so we'll get +3 might, so it becomes 4.
Captain Teemo on duty. That's what we like to see. Big fan of the Teemo deck. Playing with hidden cards is so much fun. Just forcing your opponent to just get a headache, basically thinking of all the possible interactions that there could be. And I don't know if I'm the best player against Teemo, but at some point I'm always like, you know what, if they have it, they have it. I don't know.
At some point you just have to say, well, if they got it, they got it.
Yeah,
I mean, that is okay.
You look at the discard of your opponent, you count the cards that are in there, you think about how many call shot and stack decks they have been using to manipulate their hand, which card would they have gone, but you can never tell for sure, because after all, the deck is randomized.
Find a center. Just going to go for see what more options I have coming from this. Of course, now the reduced cost on Find Your Center by TRAGLLK being so close to that 8-point part of the game.
So Loaded Bag 2 is now going to see, do you have any more combat tricks in your hand? 4 runes are open. Your opponent is not going to do anything about it, but there is still 1 card that is hidden on the Zorn's Warrens, and this card could push up the Ember Monk to 8.
Yeah, there's. I'm thinking, what are the options? If it were a Tide Turner, you could swap something out, get the Tide Turner's might in there as well, if you wanted to.
Oh, then you would get another gold token with the Treasure Hunter.
Yeah.
And you would get 1 more white, 1 more might.
It's a game of just inches at that moment of every small addition. So here is Zenith Blade.
Zenith Blade is coming in, and we have another Leona in our base that we've played previously. So Zenith Blade can now stun the Teemo and then move a friendly unit to that battlefield. So we have another Leona. Does that now count as a attacker? I think so, right? So you actually get to stun again? Do you stun everything?
You already were attacking, right? So
true. Attackers.
all of your units are assigned for this showdown. It's when contested is applied to an open battlefield that it becomes a bit tricky, and then you become an attacker, even though your opponent was the one that moved in first. So it is a complex board state from that situation. This one I think is a little more simple, and our Teemo player just says, yeah, okay, I'll let everything die. You've invested a lot here.
Yep, but then again, almost completely exhausted their runes on the side of Loaded Bag. There is an Ezreal that is looking strong, holding here. Monastery is going to give you a draw.
And we know there's another Watcher in hand and a Watcher in base ready to come out onto a battlefield. So that's going to be 14 might at a minimum, playing into the Monastery of Hirana at least.
That is a lot of eyes on you. There's going to be some watching that has to be done.
Yeah, and this is one of those situations where Watcher pays for itself massively, because 3 units means you're effectively giving -9 over to the opponent's battlefield.
I think we went up to 7, right? So picking up another Fight or Flight in hand, if we are at 10 runes, if we are that. Actually, we can still use the Ezreal passive effect to just play it for 7 accelerated.
So it's either 8 and 1 rune or 7 and both runes. You get to choose whichever. So it's going to be 7 and both runes, exactly as you were saying.
And I think we just paid 8 and 2 runes, actually, but that doesn't matter too much in this game state. I think it would really help. But of course, we can also go for a fighter fight. Nope, immediate fist bump here. Loaded back concedes that game. Teemo was just running away on points.
Yeah, that was kind of reminiscent of how Teemo used to be when it would be like get early points and then just protect them by being able to be very versatile about, well, you don't know what my hidden cards are. Leona unfortunately falling in that matchup. If you're a Leona fan, some of the content I released leading up to the event, my Leona videos were just like way higher than everything else. I was like, wow, Leona has some really like die-hard fans out there.
I mean, I like Leona too. She has almost my name, you know, I'm Leonard, so we have something in common, but I don't stun as many players.
I was seeing if there's a joke there going from König to something with Leona.
We still have a few more hours on this broadcast.
Yeah, exactly. We'll make it work. We'll make it work as we head into a follow-up game for these two. So I wonder where we're going on sideboards for this matchup. I'm looking at exactly what our Leona player has. There's one card in here that I'm actually quite interested to see. There's 2 copies of it, and that is Blitzcrank in passive, which is a card I love playing.
I think that's a really good card going first. If you can establish, loaded back deciding to go second here, values the 1 extra rune. So you can get your power plays first. We're not playing the Obelisk of Power. I would have said that would have been quite nice with some of these Fiora Victorias that you just play on your first turn then.
And then interesting to see a Treferian War Camp come out.
Okay.
So Treferian War Camp is going to obviously make units a bit bigger that are on the battlefield. I mean, that is one thing that Teemo does struggle with, is like having smaller units, but it's a symmetrical battlefield, right? If we both contest it, we both get the buff. So you know, we tend to see it when you can go wide and have lots of units, like a Victor will play it.
I think the Treferian War Camp is mainly just because you're running 3 copies of Fiora Victorious.
Oh, sure, to activate Mighty, okay.
If you're pushing that in there, there's some decks that profit more from the Treferian War Camp, of course. Something like a Victor in the Order version when you're playing Victor Leader as your chosen champion unit and a bunch of units in your main deck, so that you always have more units than your opponent and you get more might. Yeah,
that makes sense if it's that it's Leona has selected War Camp, right? And which it may very well have been. We didn't see battlefield choice set up. Vilemore's Lair, I think I would understand for Leona as well. So we'll see as the game goes out which player does end up utilizing it a little bit more. But we're into the early game, and this is what Teemo does: just puts units down really quick.
Just hide it immediately from the champion zone.
Teemo Legend passive, I believe. Let's have a look.
It's just not much of a surprise, isn't it?
That's true.
Felt like just hiding those cards, the best thing you could do there.
Yeah, you can pay 1 and tap it to hide it on board. It's the very last part of that. You can either put it to your hand or you can put it to the board from the champion zone. So kind of just doing that shortcut, utilizing the legend ability for that.
But I mean, now your opponent just knows very well which card it is there.
Sometimes that's fine though, right? Like I actually don't think it's that big of a deal, if I'm being totally honest, because you're also saying, well, I'll just get a unit basically for free for one might. Sorry, one cost on a future turn. You just get a unit basically out of nowhere, and you're saying, yeah, okay, I'm not hiding it, but sure, I'm fine with that.
You know what? Maybe I should do that more often. Maybe it does sound kind of good that you're just playing this for 1 energy cost to the field. It's a lot of tempo. I mean, Leona just can't really push in there, because then especially against the Leona deck, right?
Yeah.
If you're pushing Leona in there, then you're just reacting with your Teemo, and they're both at 5 might, so that would really not help. You leave your probably Teemo on the field, then you're still going to hold, removing that Leona if there's no combat tricks. Huh! That is an on.
That medic is somewhere going crazy, because that is the on we don't see very often.
But I think that is the Forged God, no? That just gets better with every gear you play, and you have so many gold gear tokens.
Oh yeah, sorry, no, this is the one we do see very often.
It actually gets huge just from pushing all of those gold gear tokens. If you're hiding, you're getting a gold gear token. If you move the treasure hunter, you're getting a gold gear token. You're getting so many gears while sitting on your Ornn, and you know Teemo really profits from holding on battlefields.
Yeah.
Ornn is kind of goated at that.
Yeah, that is a very fair point. Obviously already getting both of like extra might from here, from those gold tokens, as you were saying.
Also, if Leona wants to push into that field and then stun the Ornn, you would have to play Deflect too, because it's spell or abilities. So
yeah,
that kind of takes out the entire strategy of the Leona deck here. And oh wow, pushing the Leona into the Vile Maw's lair, and I believe. Wait, no, the Trifarian Warcamp is from the Leona. Vile Maw's lair, now that is fantastic side decking as well. In your Vile Maw's lair game, you're stacking your Ornn Forged God into the other battlefield, and then your opponent is forced to play good units into the Vile Maw's lair because they can never ever conquer that. You can also still play with your Black Market Broker. This is blowing my mind, honestly.
That is an interesting like adaptation coming into a second game. As looking at what outs we have, there is Ezreal is Singularity in hand. I say outs. I mean, I feel like Teemo's in a pretty good spot looking at things.
Yep, I would agree with that.
Outs to continue winning the game, potentially.
Wow, that is so strong. There's also the Fiora in the base.
Did you just see what two cards came off the top? Two switcheroos.
Oh wow!
As well. Although you don't want that with your Ornn, right?
Yeah, that's true. You're hiding already. But I mean, the thing is, when you're hiding Teemo, you can just play Teemo,
and you can play the switcheroo out of your hand as well at action speed. So, at least I'm pretty sure it was two switcheroos.
Going to go with the Treasure Hunter into the Vile Maw's lair. The next question is, do we just sacrifice it, or we're playing the switcheroo? Wow, that is so big.
I don't know how far down the rabbit hole I'm going here. Switcheroo can swap two of your own unit's mights. So if you get stunned on Ornn, you switcheroo Ornn's might to the other unit at the battlefield.
It has to be at the same battlefield, though.
But Ornn and the Black Market Broker is here. So sorry, I'm actually not talking about this battlefield specifically. Right. Yes, I should probably be focusing on what is going on live.
Drops the second switcheroo immediately. You talked about this earlier.
Okay, cool. That works too.
Wow, we are recycling so many runes for that, but Loaded Bag is completely exhausted with the runes. Has go, yeah, well, your Treasure Hunter conquers the battlefield with my Leona determined in it, my 5 Might Defender, and I mean, there's one thing going for him. At least he got it out of the Vile Maw's lair.
Yes, yeah, that is. I don't think that's much of a. I don't think that's too much of a benefit when it goes to the graveyard. I got to be honest. This is why I will just not play Teemo. My brain goes too far down like the theoretical rabbit hole that I'm thinking about random things when I could just be winning with a 1 might unit. Treasure Hunter on a battlefield with 2 switcheroos. Did deramp a lot, of course, but again, it's so much about like one of Leona's struggles doesn't necessarily have that many ways of getting units onto battlefields the same turn they're played. There are a few different things, you know, with Zenith Blade, that type of thing, that can get you into combat, get you into battlefield quite quickly, but it's not the same as the Fiora we were watching earlier, where, you know, Fiora Worthy is just there from the champion zone, allows you to just keep going, keep being present on battlefields, but
that is a Fiora.
Yeah, that is a Fiora. I realized we were on the following turn from switcheroo.
The thing is, now that was a big turn, right? You use those gold tokens. It makes your Ornn kinda way worse.
True.
Using the gold gear tokens takes away might from your Ornn, and I wonder if there is more ways to just effectively get might on it. I mean, with the Black Market Broker, you kind of have an infinite combo of playing out Teemo, getting it back to hand, and then hiding it again. So you can make 1 gold gear token every single turn. Sona is being played into the Vile Maw's lair battlefield. That is also, I mean, you're getting so many runes ready at the end of the turn, but if you're in Vile Maw's lair, you lose a lot of flexibility. Well, that was a Sprite token. Where did that come from?
Have we moved to Teemo's turn? Sona's on tap 4, right?
Yeah. We're on Teemo's turn now again.
Yeah. Maybe I missed it, but I think he only untapped 2. too used to playing Annie. maybe I missed it. I will say that there's a lot of cards that we don't typically see in this game, and a lot of like plays that I'm as I said too far down the rabbit hole on Teemo. So it's a very interesting game for our second featured matchup of the day.
How many cards do you reckon we have in the discard pile on the side of TRAGLLK? Because
enough to start playing Rasses, yeah.
Yeah, but do you even have to? That's the interesting thing. I think with cards like Singularity in your hand, you can just start removing your opponent's point gainers, which is the Sona and the Fiora. What do you have to answer this? You don't have something like a riposte. You have used Not So Fast already last
I was going to say, is there another Not So Fast in hand?
I love the aura from TRAGLLK just looking at his opponent like...
Is it?
What do you have here?
I was seeing tapping 3. I'm wondering whether you're going wind. Well, it is Shen. It's another card that I saw in the deck list here.
Yep, Shen is really cool. It can be a reaction play. It's the opposite of Rengar pouncing.
Yes, yeah.
So it can go up to a 5 might defender now.
Importantly, the shield only goes on when you are defending. So this at this point is just to hold the battlefield as the units die. So it won't do anything to save the 2 units being Singularity, but it is enough to say, okay, well, I'll get a point on my turn, and also you can't really contest it. 3 might against 5 might here currently on board.
And also it just dies to Wages of Pain.
True, because outside of combat, Wages of Pain will just kill Shen.
We've also decided to play so many of our runes yet. I think we have 1 rune floating. We have 1 energy floating because we played the Colch. No, we just took one that we used for Singularity. Never mind that. But I think you would really have to start getting those gold gear tokens up again. I think that we could, you know, play the Teemo, bounce it back, hide it again, get a gold gear token from Black Market Broker, then we're chilling.
It is quite a... compared to Draven matchups, I will say a little bit more complex on the having to think outside the box for options. Like Draven and some of the other meta decks are very well, I'm just going to contest and I know what I'm doing every single turn. This one is just like, you have a Shen in hand, okay, cool, right?
When do I use my Shen versus Teemo?
Yeah, when does Janna come out? We've seen people playing around Janna and Wosley as well, or not playing around it in previous tournaments as well. So there's a lot to think about in this one. A lot of variance compared, but this is a nice thing. Again, both of these players likely aiming for at minimum a best-of card. There are also obviously qualifications to the regional championship later in the year on the line here. The further you get in the tournament, the better chance you have of that. And I mean, everyone here is here to win in some way. As well. Like, everyone would love to be raising the trophy at the end, but you know, the other options of trying to be the best Leona or the best Teemo at the event certainly allow you something else to play for.
Definitely, especially Teemo is such a fan favorite, I want to say. People love Teemo, some other people don't love Teemo.
People love to hate Teemo as well. So he's definitely, British people would say, the Marmite of League of Legends.
And I just love Teemo. He's such a little rascal.
You're not a Teemo hater?
No.
Okay.
And I've played a lot of Shen in my life on top lane. And
Same, actually.
I still like Teemo.
Surgeon Shen being my favorite.
Phenomenal.
Really old skin. I'm sure there are better ones these days, but...
I don't think so. I like some of the OG ones. We're stacking the deck again on the side of TRAGLLK, so another big turn where you can possibly push. So do we, at this point, our opponent, how many cards does Loaded Bag have in hand? This looks like a solid 4 cards. There is a Shen. Would you even go for a Watcher if you had one? Because now you're straight up chilling. Now we're playing out the Teemo. We get the Black Market Broker, play a card from Hidden, you get the gold token.
It happened so long ago, I had kind of half forgotten that Teemo was played from the Champion Zone, and we knew what it was the entire time. Fatigue is a real thing, but you can then also use the Teemo Legend ability to put it back in your hand. So that's the other thing, is you can kind of like float it, rotate it back all the way through.
And then you hide it again.
And then you hide it again. Is it the Teemo, or is it my 3rd copy of Switcheroo?
It's infinite gold gear tokens, and it also, funnily enough, works like a better combat trick now, because then it's going to get you a gold gear token when your opponent is attacking.
Right? It got hidden, because I saw Consult the Past in hand as well. So it's like, I'll bring it back up, I'll play it, I'll play it back again. Now you don't know what it is.
Yeah. There's so many mind games.
This
Mind
is
games and chaos games with Teemo.
This is also one of the reasons why if you're playing Teemo locally, I would suggest you use the same color sleeve for your champion as well. I know a lot of players like to try and differentiate for their chosen champion, so don't forget it, you can't do it. So you make sure you're using the same sleeve, because you can shuffle it into hand and it disappears. You know, non-competitive REL people are a little bit more relaxed on that.
Not with Teemo. I think you're just giving yourself a massive disadvantage, because a big strength of Teemo is just that your opponent does not know what you are hiding. Sometimes your opponents play around a Teemo, and then you have a Consult the Past, and you hold a battlefield with a 2-drop for no reason.
Again, we're going to reasons I don't play Teemo. Reasons that I'm not running this
You don't
deck.
have to sweat if you're playing Teemo. It's just if you're the opponent.
That's very true. A lot of runes up for Leona, like a lot of availability to just like dive deep in whatever end game power you have in the deck.
He really found his center in the last turn, right?
Twice, yeah.
So ramping up, but what can you do? Leona is such a reactive deck. Your units, they are not known for big pushes, and TRAGLLK is just running away in points. We're already at 6. This is for some decks the break point, right? Where you are at 6, you have it so easy to just conquer 2 battlefields at the same time. Teemo's breakpoint is at 7 because you're sitting on an Ornn with a hidden Teemo and a black market broker, gold gear tokens. This is gluttony almost.
Yeah, and speaking of gluttony, a character in the game that I'm sure is a little bit gluttonous itself, but I talked a little about not having fast units for Leona. Looking at the deck list, there are Tasty Fey folks in the main board here. So that ability to get out onto a battlefield quite quickly at least allows Leona to play late game. You know, obviously Tasty Fey folk kind of mid-game into late game for that ramping death knell effect, but when that Ornn is there, it's not big enough yet that you'd be too worried about it. There is a Tasty Fey, folks. Somehow the premonition coming through. I'll be honest, whenever I see a green deck have this many runes available, I'm like, it's probably going to go towards Tasty Fey folk at some point.
But I mean, loaded back can't even accelerate it. I mean, technically it could, but for what reason? Because you're not going to conquer in the Trifarian Warcamp. Goes up to 7 points on the side of TRAGLLK. So many runes open, and now the thing is, there is only a Shen defending on the other side. So can you just remove that Shen? There's 4 runes open. Do you just go for Singularity? Fight or flight? Everything is an option. You have the Azrael in your base as well. Teemo is so close to just winning the first game with a quick and swift 2-0. We're even giving up a gear.
So that is Singularity on both. This would, as you said, clear out both battlefields. 4 runes available.
Oh, that looks like a not so fast. But there is other cards that TRAGLLK could have. Now the question is, do you go into combat and then press the fight or flight button, or do you do it preemptively to force out maybe something like another Shen or another card that you haven't thought about? Because I think for Shen we don't have enough.
Fight or flight's tricky because it does lose to Defy in many situations. Like there's a lot of cards now when you tumble down the cost of spells, there's more options to actually deal with them.
But if you do it preemptively, before combat,
then at least you're okay.
You're seeing the Defy, you're like, all right, you know what? Other game plan. If you're waiting for combat and you push the Azrael into a losing combat, fight or flight gets defied, you actually might find yourself in a not so optimal spot anymore. So I really like the play of using some of these combat tricks, some of these actions just somewhere on your turn.
And that was a pass.
I mean,
just
that
saying,
also
okay,
works.
well, I can actually save the fight or flight as a defensive use on my turn. Because if you're only coming in with Tasty Fey folk, potentially could accelerate another one if there is another one in hand. But if you're only coming in with 1 unit, then suddenly it's not so scary with a fight or flight. I force you to have the Defy in hand. And we know there's a Teemo hidden there that adds more to the battlefield.
Do we?
We know. This time it got played out of hand, and I paid attention, more attention than I did to the first time.
So TRAGLLK just waiting for this turn to possibly be over. It's interesting. It's so cool to see how different players approach the game, where I would have considered, hey, there is just a Shen. You have used your not so fast here. I'm trying to see if you have a Defy with the fight or flight and try to see if I can win the game immediately.
Yeah.
TRAGLLK just decides to just go for the more patient route.
That is true, because when your opponent only has 2 runes left available, then there's like, I guess Defy really is the only option at that point that saves the game.
A Thwonk would also do it. So many stun spells.
Well, if you fight or flighted first, that would be a clear battlefield, right? If you fight or flight.
Yeah.
We're talking about fight or flighting Shen.
Yeah, exactly. But then if you push your Ezreal in and you get stunned, it just recalls.
Pushes. Yeah, no, you're totally right. But yeah,
I think holding is a good shout. Maybe you could even consider pushing the Ezreal into the Treferian Warcamp.
Leona, the chosen champion, comes through.
Very nice. That's a big one. This
is where she enters ready. That's another point that I actually omitted earlier about ready units. When your opponent is within 3 points. So now there is potency to come back in with these big late game units. I feel like that was definitely something I underestimated, was Leona from behind actually does have quite a lot of pace to get out onto the battlefield.
But I also like that TRAGLLK kept the fight or flight for this, because the thing is, if you move that Leona into a battlefield and you use the ability to, you know, shrink the units that are stunned, that you're stunning in the process, if it gets pushed out for fight or flight, it says the units here have -8 might. So I think the units just chill, right? They just recover their might. They don't go -8.
So Zenith played as well. So he's going to get the stun off.
Are we considering to double deflect? I think at this point does not necessarily matter too much.
You got enough runes to do it.
Yeah. I mean, this is, oh no, we want to keep our runes alive here. So we are going to buff our Leona Zealot and the Black Market Broker onto a stun ring. What are you doing now? I mean, you're going to react with the Teemo, that's for sure, if you have played the Teemo.
Yeah, so Teemo comes through.
I think a fight or flight here could be so important if you can get it off, because that then only loses to Defy or another not so fast.
Yeah.
That doesn't lose to another stun card, because you just need to hold. You don't need to win combats here.
Yeah.
You just need to hold.
And importantly, being on Vilemore, fight or flight is
true. That
it won't actually
doesn't even work. Yeah. Really good shout. Twitch chat must have been raging about that.
Probably.
Sorry.
Probably. Although.
Now we get rid of the Zealot.
Fight or flight has been played, so.
So we're pushing it out of the Treferian Warcamp. And now we're going to see how this combat resolves.
Yeah, sorry, the board state was
it's a lot.
intriguing. It is indeed.
So, the Tasty Fae Folk is going to threaten with 6 might. We have the Black Market Broker, who should be at 3 again.
Yeah.
We have the On, and if we decide to reveal our hidden Teemo, then we're going to get another Gold Gear token exhausted. That is going to make the On a little bit bigger, so it gets 1 extra might. So then we should be at a combined 12. Oh, there's more runes being used. Exhausted. Another Zenith Blade. Wow, that is a push if I've ever seen one.
That is pretty great. I don't know whether you could say it's top decking, because we haven't seen a whole lot of draw recently, but Zenith Blade coming back in does not care about your fight or flight anymore then.
Yeah. That is just absolutely massive, and I think this is one of those points where Leona really shines, because you've read Zealot, right? If your opponent is very close to winning the game, it enters ready with such a powerful effect if you get to stun your opponent's units as well. So this deck, it's a little bit too stressful for me, right? You have to get your opponent very close to winning the game, to defeating you, and then you can start your power plays. So you won't have those easy games where you're just sweeping through your opponent many times. Oh, but now what are we doing? I think we're just counting, but there is no way that you're beating that Leona Zealot.
Yeah, no, not with, especially both stunned. You just...
Do we not get the Gold Gear token? There we go.
There it is, yeah.
But then again, completely exhausted runes on the side of Loaded Bag. You just need 1 more point. Unfortunately for TRAGLLK, you're not going to get it from just taking out that Shen. But all of a sudden, Leona is at 6 points too. So if you're getting a double hold here, game's immediately over. Also, Leona Zealot is buffed now, so that means Singularity is not an out anymore. All of a sudden, the tides may have turned.
Yeah, certainly. It does feel that way. Teemo in not the best spot here, has to try and recover. I mean, at this point, are we just trying to draw into Watcher? Does Watcher even do it? Looking at that battlefield, I would have to run some math. I don't think alone it's enough. It would have to be like Watcher, Ezreal clears one battlefield. Is there a way to have enough runes to clear both?
I think Watcher plus Ezreal clears that battlefield, actually.
I'm just wondering whether you can clear both battlefields. Like, if you get Wages of Pain and Watcher plus Ezreal clears one battlefield, and Wages of Pain deals with the Shen, and maybe then the following turn you can deal with it, but then you kind of have to have another unit, another Watcher.
But your opponent is so out of steam, I don't even think you need to clear the other battlefield.
You just hold with Watcher and Ezreal. Yeah, that's true.
Exactly. So Stack Deck is trying to find this last push. This 1000-tailed Watcher really dramatically revealing the cards to himself. I think found a Mind Splitter. That might not be the big drop that you're looking for, but a Rebuke is one of the best removal spells in this game. Bouncing a card from a battlefield to the hand immediately. Oh my goodness. And we have another cold shot there, so we're going to recycle this.
Do it again.
We're digging.
Ezreal's there, so it doesn't cost past that. There is a Watcher. Immediately goes to hand.
That's a very quick choice.
Now you're like, okay, if the Watcher doesn't do it, what's my second one? Can I find another Watcher just to put the nail in the coffin in the following turn? But cold shot being done, repeated, the repeat one coming for free. That was the first one that was all you needed.
Yeah.
Should be able to turn this at least back into Teemo's favor.
Yep, and we also only need to pay.
Yeah.
Now, what are we deciding? Are we going to recycle more cards? Yes. Okay. So we have...
Yeah, it was 7 and 2 recycled, so keeping up 2 and 2 Chaos Runes.
And now we're counting in. We are in Trifarian Warcamp, keep that in mind.
True.
So Leona is at 8 right now, the Tasty Feyfolk is at 8-2. They're going down 3, so both are at 5, so easy 10. But of course you have 10 on your base as well. You're in Trifarian Warcamp as well if you want to push them in. So that would leave you at a decent amount too. Then the thing is, you're basically only holding with an Ezreal. Is that even enough to win the game? Your opponent is going to be at 7 points as well if they manage to push something into the Trifarian Warcamp. They have the shot at winning the game. But then again, also, you can't really just let it stay here. The other option is, if you think your opponent has used double Zenith Blade, so
yeah, so you think there's probably at least. If there is one more, then it's unlikely to be available yet. Leona hasn't drawn that much through the deck.
We've seen 2 not so fast as well, if I'm not completely mistaken.
Yes, we have. You are correct.
So I think just pushing for the Shen, not giving away so many units, and then stacking into the Vilemor's Lair sounds fabulous.
Yeah, and then you at least... I'm trying to think of like what even is available that would come in and be fast enough.
Things we're also getting another draw. We have 2 runes open. I think that a great play here would be to recycle one of your runes to hide a card and then not use your Teemo champion ability. Oh, we're actually playing a Raza. We have so many cards in our
just
discard.
Stack it then.
Just for free. Are we playing another one of those? This is, oh my goodness, this is such a big battlefield now. Now, just recycle another one. Are we hiding cards? Yes, of course. Throw another one in there. We're passing. We still have 2 runes left open for a possible Rebuke, a Fight or Flight. So many good Chaos cards.
We know that there's a Rebuke that was drawn earlier in the turn. So that is certainly available for TRAGLLK. That is a massive hold, and I don't know if there's enough in the tank for Leona. Was that?
I mean, that just really does not look like a lot of pushes. We're going to reveal our hand, and Loaded Bag concedes the match.
Loaded Bag concedes. Our Teemo player does indeed win their first round here in Bologna with a very interesting and dynamic matchup is, I think, the way that I would put it. One with a lot of interactions that are less familiar with a lot of the decks that we see in the meta. So that was quite a learning experience for me on seeing exactly how that played out. There's a lot of lines that could have been woven throughout it.
I'm such a big fan of the strategy that he pulled off with the Ornn that just keeps getting boosted by those gold tokens with the black market broker, and you have the possibility to just loop your Teemo chosen champion unit, put it back to hand, hide it again, play it, put it back to hand, hide it again. You can generate gold tokens for forever. This is infinite gold. I feel like this is what This is what it's all about. Huh?
Well, I want to hear more from a player that actually played Teemo rather than us here trying to figure out what's going on along the way. So we have a winner interview with our winner from round 1.
And welcome back. I'm here with the winner of our feature match, TRAGLLK, with a 2-0 with Teemo to start off the day. Why Teemo?
I mean, Teemo is wonderful. He has a lot of mechanics, and I mean, I like mushrooms, so why not planting some?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that's a vibe. Just Vibe Space picked it, and honestly, it's proving to do really well at the beginning of the day. How do you feel now that you've got that first game out of the way, and you're on that victorious loop?
Oh, hopefully. I mean, it feels good. I was a bit stressed. You're on TV stream, you know. I'm playing against Leona, so I didn't train too much on that matchup, but it went well. And yeah, I'm happy, so I can start even. It's like I had a bye, you know.
Right, exactly.
But it's not. It's like, yeah, we have to go through 700 games, so. We'll see what happens.
You're right.
I hope it goes well.
It's a long day,
yeah.
But you've got through almost the hardest part. You've got through that first match.
Yeah, on TV.
You won 2-0 exactly on stream. The hidden mechanic is something I really love about Teemo. Do you think people will underestimate that today?
I don't think people underestimate it. I think they know that you can hide like a lot of things. It makes people think a lot more than in other matchups. So. Yeah, I think matches takes more time, and yeah, maybe a bit of stress of what is going on the battlefield. So yeah, I like the mechanics. I hope that other sets will bring more hidden cards. So yeah, it's nice mechanics.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think you've picked a really fun deck, and I really appreciate that as well. The best of pricing is obviously something that we're going to be talking a lot about. It's very exciting. Is that something that you were thinking about when choosing Teemo?
Yeah, I think that Teemo is a powerful deck. In the meta right now, it's not one of the most powerful, but it can do a few things. So yeah, Metal was on the way, on the look, I mean. So I hope it goes well. Yeah, I think you have to go to the day 2 if you want Metal Teemo. So I'll try my best and go for it.
You've got a long way to go,
yeah.
But I'm confident that Teemo will continue to bring you strength to strength, and I hope that all of your hidden mechanics work out for you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, TRAGLLK, and good luck in your next round.